into the future where the glass is half full and you'll need new glasses, where you'll be jumping from conclusions.
The past is annulled and a new future is born.
Never before in history has so much meant so little to so many. AD on the radio.
So do you remember in the run-up to the election, do you recall that there was all this speculation about the health of Hillary Clinton? Hillary's health, I believe, was the hashtag that was trending on Twitter. And it looked for a second when she was giving some speech somewhere that she sort of lost track of where she was, maybe even who she was. And all of a sudden, the right jumped all over it, calling into question her ability to be a fit leader, her ability to govern, her ability to be president of these United States of America and leader of the free world because, well, she had some serious neurological problems. She was clearly having strokes. I got so many emails when we were talking about it. There's like, did you see Hillary had a stroke on live TV? And you know what? We never really did get to the bottom of what was causing that sort of like dazed and confused look on her face. And Travis, do you remember, was there any kind of real investigation into her health? Like, did she take a physical? Did she have to submit something that stated she had a clean bill of health? Or did she just go, I'm not dignifying that with a response, as Hillary often did when she was standing as opposed to running for president back in the day? Did we ever really find out what the hell that thing was? It was that dazed and confused look that to me just reminded me of, it looked like she did a giant bong rip is what it did. Like, maybe I've watched one too many Cheech and Chong movies, but like that look on her face is usually accompanied by an, oh, wow, man, or something of that nature. But what was strange to me was that people on the right were willing her to be in dire straits with regard to her health. People wanted her health to fail so their guy could get elected. And it was an interesting one. And I remember people asking me about this at the time, like, who do you think is going to win? Who do you think is going to win? And I was like, it really almost doesn't matter at this stage in the game. The real question is, what does this mean for the country? Well, what do you mean? Of course it matters who wins. I was like, look at what's going on right now with this whole Hillary's health thing. There are people willing her to have serious neurological disorders. There are people wanting her to have a stroke. There's people saying she's had multiple strokes already. If she could just have one more, we could be done with it. And I was like, what the hell's going on here? And I said, it's not so important who wins. Like, in the grand scheme of things, this might affect things for the next 4 to 8 years, but this is a turning point in American history. This is a moment where two important things are going to happen when whoever wins the election wins the election. One, this idea of respect for the office of the president is done with. Like, people are so completely for or against someone that it doesn't matter who's elected. Literally, one half of the country will think they are the Antichrist, that they're the anti-president, that they're sent here to destroy all of us, that they're sending us to hell, and they will fight tooth and nail to get rid of them the entire time they're in office. Like, maybe I'm romanticizing the past, but I remember a day, and I haven't been around that long, but I remember a day when it seemed as though it didn't necessarily matter if your guy won the election, but you would stand behind and respect the person who was in the Oval Office. Like, am I making that up? Is that that was a thing, right? We remember that. That was, people respected it. You know, people thought, I might not agree with everything they say, but ultimately what he does whilst in office affects the fate of America, and I want America to win.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah. It wasn't this thing of like, I want them to lose at any cost. But yeah, it was really indicative of a tipping point in American history. Like I said, to me, it didn't necessarily matter. I wasn't a fan of either candidate, just so we're getting that out of the way now. But I was like, either one of these folks, the real significant outcome of this election is not necessarily who winds up sitting in that Oval Office we're talking about. It's the fact that one half of the country will actively, openly hate their president. And the other part of it is respect for the office of president is a thing of the past. And it all sort of like crystallized to me when people were willing Hillary Clinton to have a stroke on the campaign trail. Anyways, the flippity flop has been happening recently, with there being a certain amount of speculation about the health, both mental and physical, of the president of these United States of America, Donald Trump. There's been a lot of people that have said he's insane. There's been rumors and speculation and hearsay about people close to him in his administration questioning his mental stability, questioning his sanity, leading him to say, no, I'm a very stable genius. And here's the thing. You know what stable geniuses don't tend to say? I'm a stable genius. Like, it's just not necessarily something that you gotta say, that you're going to say if you are in fact stable and if you are in fact a genius. But then what the hell is he supposed to say? He's been elected president of the United States, and I don't necessarily think that there's been any president in history, and correct me if I'm wrong, who's had to defend their sanity.
No.
Now, admittedly, he's done some stuff that makes people go, huh? What were you thinking there? What were you thinking there when you're talking on Twitter about that thing with a button and, you know, the other person on the other side of the world with the nukes and how your button was bigger? And like, is that the act of a sane person? And I kind of understand why people are questioning. But because the right willed Hillary to have a stroke, the left, it seems, are now willing President Donald Trump to have serious medical problems. However, he had a physical this past week just gone by, and we'll go over the results of that in a little bit.
Real radio.
104.1.
Where the left and right come together for fundamental truths. AD on the radio, on Twitter at ADSXE.
So as we were saying, in the run-up to the election, there was all this speculation about Hillary Clinton's health. Hillary's health was trending on Twitter. And, you know, it's interesting. While that was happening, I had numerous people tweet me or approach me about this or email me about this while we were in the thick of our election coverage, our sort of punk rock politics segments in the run-up to the election, where we talked about everything that was going on. And so many people were like, hey, lefty Twitter is suppressing the hashtag Hillary's health because they don't want the world to know that she just had a stroke. I was like, wow, that gets pretty deep. And you know what? Maybe they did. Maybe Twitter has an agenda. They're a private company. They can do what the hell they want. They can highlight things in news feeds as they see fit. But here's the thing. Now Donald Trump has had his physical, and, well, the left in just as much of a predatorial manner, the left was just willing there to be serious physical or mental problems with our president. Here's the thing, though. Not so much. Our stable genius has incredible genes, as it turns out. Dr. Ronnie Jackson is a presidential physician, and he gave President Trump's health a glowing review at a press conference this week. Here's what he had to say about the physical exam that he gave Trump.
There were many good things that came from his exam. I think he had great findings across the board, but the one that stands out more than anything to me is his cardiac health. He is in the excellent range from a cardiac standpoint, and that's not me speaking, that's objective data. He doesn't have really a family history of premature cardiac disease. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't have diabetes. A lot of the traditional risk factors he doesn't have. His coronary calcium score is very reassuring. He has a lot of energy and a lot of stamina. You know, look at his vision. I mean, he's 71 years old, and his bilateral uncorrected vision is 20/30. I mean, he can drive if he wants to without glasses. I mean, he washes his hands frequently. He uses Purell, and as many hands as he shakes in a day, he'd be a fool not to. It's called genetics. I don't know. It's some people have just great genes. He doesn't have a dedicated, defined exercise program. The good part is that we can build on that pretty easily. So that the president's health is excellent because his overall health is excellent. He has incredible genes. I just assume. I think he will remain fit for duty for the remainder of this term and even for the remainder of another term if he's elected.
So there you go. Donald Trump has incredible genes. Now, there's a certain amount of speculation. Donald Trump has kind of a history of pretending to be his representative. Like he'll make a call. He'll make a call and he'll be like, "Hi, Donald Trump wishes to speak with you in 20 or so minutes." Okay. You sound like Donald Trump. Bad line, got to go by. And then you get a call from Donald Trump. It was like, who was that I spoke to before? That was James. He's no longer in our employ. And so, like, I kind of respect that. You know, he acts as his own representative.
I love it.
I think maybe because he doesn't trust other people to do things on his behalf a lot of the time. Anyways, because he's got sort of a history of that kind of behavior. Okay. He has incredible genes, and his excellent health will make him fit for duty if he's reelected. It almost sounds like Donald Trump wrote his own physical report himself. But in case you're suspicious, remember, the guy that we're talking about, Dr. Ronnie Jackson, is the presidential physician, and he was a presidential physician for Obama as well. So there's that. I wonder if you have to prove that you are nonpartisan or bipartisan to be the presidential physician. Look, when there's people in Donald Trump's administration saying, I don't think he's fit to govern, and I would like proof of that, the doctor that's doing your physical, in some way, I don't think it would be unreasonable to request a doctor that was a Republican that voted for you if you're Donald Trump, or, you know, if you're
Right.
Obama, you know, like if you're Obama, it's the same thing, you know, like there's no reason why you shouldn't have, look, we were just talking about this. We live in a day and age now where half of society wants our president to fail and would rather see it all burned down rather than, you know, oh, he unexpectedly did something good and everything worked out. Fantastic. Still hate him, but that's good for America. No, people want him to fail, and they want America. Well, they don't want America to go down in flames, but they're so laser focused on Donald Trump being ousted in some sort of way, or being dishonored in some sort of way, or being... they just want to get rid of him at any cost. And so they're willing, like I said, to burn it all down. And for that reason, I don't necessarily think it's that far-fetched that you could give a doctor giving you a physical that the world is going to pay attention to a little bit of side-eye when you're a guy in Donald Trump's position. You know, like, you sure about this? You did Obama's as well. Didn't you say he was like a stable genius and super fit? No, but, you know...
It's funny. There's certain, and it's hard to believe because of how partisan politics are, especially right now. But there's certain roles in politics that, when they're considering people, like, they specifically are looking for someone who is bipartisan and who can completely put politics aside and make, you know, intelligent decisions. I think this is one of those roles. The other one that I know is very, very much the same is the Senate parliamentarian. And the parliamentarian is the person who decides what the Senate can do according to the rules. And parliamentarians will be held over through many, many administrations. I think this is similar to that. Although they probably have feelings, they can keep them separate from, you know, when it comes to stuff like this. It's really strange, though, because I agree with you. I would want my own guy in there.
Yeah. How do you vet a presidential physician? That's what a weird line of work to get into, and what a tremendous amount of pressure. I mean, like, I don't know if presidents have had I don't know if presidential physicals have been under such tremendous amounts of scrutiny in the past. Maybe when there was an older person in office, like, I remember there were questions, I think, about Ronald Reagan toward the end, because he was really getting on in years, and there were questions about his physical health and perhaps mental health as well. So, but I don't know, that was pre-digital era stuff, and we were just, you know, little kids at the time, so we weren't paying as close attention to it. But, like, I can't imagine there's ever been a presidential physical that's been more scrutinized than the one that was just done by Dr. Ronnie Jackson, the presidential physician who said Donald Trump has incredible genes.
For more stimulation and less irritation, 9 out of 10 doctors choose KPRC AM 950, Houston's more stimulating talk radio.
Don't get the blues, get all the news. We mean all of you guys out there in Radio Land. All aboard!
He's back. AD on the radio.
Give it up, yeah. Give it up, yeah. Bring this on, come on.
So the results of the presidential physical are in, and Travis Golightly, you work out a lot. You know about gyms and body mass indexes and things of that nature. And you also didn't you have pre-med aspirations at one point? Like, you know a lot about the human body, more so than other people. And for people that haven't seen you in person, you are a sizable fellow. You have delved into the world of bodybuilding a little bit yourself. So you probably know about, what a person should weigh based on their height and whatnot. What have you gleaned from, first and foremost, Travis Golightly, hashtag not a doctor. So take it all with a grain of salt. But Travis, what have you gleaned from going over the president's physical?
Let's just be clear. I'm going to be a doctor.
Okay.
But, no, I'm kidding. I'm kidding. It's funny because in the clip that you played, the presidential physician, the White House doctor, actually mentioned that President Trump does not have a necessarily a gym regimen at this time. So a lot of people are taking a lot of issue with Trump's declared height and weight, which was 6'3" and 239 pounds. And the thing that's funny about it is at 6'3" and 239 pounds, his body mass index, his BMI, is 29.9. Just below the threshold of 30.0, which would describe him as officially obese. So at 29...
So do you think
29.9?
Do you think he shaved off 1/10 of a pound so he wasn't clinically obese? Because that would be embarrassing. Because that would be kind of obese is not a good look. You know what I mean?
It's the new hot. What are you talking about? No, I'm joking. So I don't know. But it is funny, and people are like seriously upset about it, saying that there's no way that that's his actual height and weight, and it puts him at 29.9. So now he's just merely overweight as opposed to being officially obese.
Shaves off 1/10 of a pound, so he's not. And you know what? 6'3" people. Never seen him in person. I don't know if he's 6'3" or not, but
yeah, I don't know.
I wouldn't put it past a person like Donald Trump to wear lifts. He's not a short guy. He doesn't have to. He's clearly tall enough, but I could totally see Donald Trump. Look, Donald Trump comes from the predatorial world of business. And in those scenarios, a lot of the time people will take any edge they can get. And if you're 6'1" and you find that your height is a little intimidating to people, I could be like, okay, I'm going to get some lifts. And then I'm going to be 6'3", and then really people are going to be scared of me. He's all about the intimidation tactic. He comes from that world of, he's a physically imposing person at 6'1", and at 6'3" even more so. So is he really 6'3"? People are doubting that he's 6'3", and I like I said, I wouldn't put it past the guy to wear lifts.
It's so funny though, because so people are now comparing him to athletes and football players and stuff.
He's 71 years old though.
Oh my God. They're saying no. This linebacker is this tall and this weight, and there's no way that Trump is the same. One thing you have to keep in mind is, and anybody who goes to the gym knows this, muscle weighs a lot more than fat. So, to look at a muscular guy and be like they were comparing, they're comparing Colin Kaepernick, who's 6'4" and 230.
Well, wait a second. Are we really comparing a professional athlete in the prime of his career to a 71-year-old man, regardless of what political station that 71-year-old man holds? The fact.
But they're saying,
I said, people were reaching with Hillary's health, and people are reaching with this now. I mean, this comes from the guy who just suggested that possibly he wears lifts, but that's
yeah. So they're saying if he is technically the same height-ish and the same weight-ish as Colin Kaepernick, they're insinuating that there's some lying going on. But again, you look at a football player who's a lot more muscular.
So are people really doing side-by-side pictures? Are people really doing side-by-side pictures of Trump and Colin Kaepernick and going, this is what 6'3", 200 and however many pounds? That's what that really looks like.
But that just
does
goes
Donald
to show
Trump
you
look
also,
like a professional athlete
if Colin
side by side?
Kaepernick
Okay.
is 6'4" and 230, he would also be qualified with BMI as being either overweight or obese. BMI doesn't really work with people who work out. Not that Donald Trump works out, but BMI is one of those figures that anybody who goes to the gym will sit there and laugh at BMI. And they had that issue in the military for a while that all they would go by is BMI, and you'd have these guys in the weight room every day and they qualify as obese, and they're telling them, oh, you got to lose weight because you weigh a lot more than your height allows.
Similarly, I remember
ridiculous.
I remember my cousin telling me that right after he got his checkup, and he was a soft in the middle individual. He was like, ultimately, maybe I'm not. The doctor says I need to look after my health a little bit better, but guess what? I'm 2 pounds lighter than Holyfeld. Like, I was like, just different stuff. He's like, I'm the same height I'm the same height as Holyfeld, and I weigh 2 pounds less. I must be in fantastic shape. I'm like, I'm pretty sure it doesn't work like that.
Oh my God! Next time I get up to 230, I'm going to be like, well, you know what? I mean, I weigh what Colin Kaepernick weighs, so I'm not too worried about it. And Donald Trump's in excellent shape.
Okay, so you remember how people questioned the origin of our last president? People were obsessed about whether or not President Obama was actually an American. There was this conspiracy theory, much of it spearheaded by Donald Trump himself, about whether or not President Obama was born in Kenya, thereby making it not necessarily a thing that he could be president of the United States of America. Now, do you remember what they call those people that had this sort of like place of birth origin conspiracy theory?
They called them the birthers.
Yes, they called them the birthers. Okay. Now, there's a lot of people on the left looking at Donald Trump's BMI, looking at what he says his height is, looking at what he says his weight is, going, I don't necessarily buy that. I don't find that to be truthful. I think that he's shaving 1/10 of a pound off so he's not clinically obese. I don't think he's that tall. I think he weighs more than what he says he weighs. And you know what those people are calling themselves?
No, I don't.
Girthers? Yeah.
Tell me they really are.
Yeah, they're really called girthers.
That is incredible.
No, it's pretty incredible stuff. So there we go.
Oh my God.
The president's physical is now the subject of a good amount of speculation and a small amount of chortling and laughter, because let's face it, that's a low-hanging comedic fruit. That's a gag window that we are only too happy to crawl through. So you work on a tugboat, Travis Golightly. For those that don't know, when you're not doing radio, you're on a tugboat, you're in the port of Houston, you're helping boats get tugged and things of that nature. Now, it has been unseasonably cold, especially given the fact that you work in Houston, which is usually death-defyingly hot in 365 days of the year. But it's been really cold, right?
Oh, it's miserable. It is miserable. I mean, the other night it was like 23. Which I know, if you're in Nebraska or somewhere, it's, welcome to winter. It's no big deal. But
yeah, but that's not where you're supposed to get in South Texas.
Exactly. Yeah, it's terrible.
Yeah.
It's terrible.
It has been an unbelievably cold winter. It really has. It's been freaking freezing. And as cold as it's been in places like Houston, it's been even colder in the Wisconsins and Minneapolises and the Canadas and the upstate New Yorks of this world. The coldest parts of America have been exceptionally cold. And you know what I noticed? About the cold? You don't acclimatize to it. When I first moved to Houston from New York City, it was, I think, late spring. It wasn't quite summertime yet, but it was late spring. And I remember moving furniture and going, might die, gotta sit down. This is crazy. It is so hot. What time does the sun go down? When does it cool down? And I had my friends from Houston helping me move in, and they're like, you might not do well here. This, it was 85 or something of that nature. And they're like, this might not be a thing for you. You might not necessarily do well in the kind of heat that you're going to experience in about a month and a half. And it was, in about a month and a half's time, 112 degrees in the shade, death-defyingly hot. And for that first summer that I was in Houston, I absolutely thought I was going to die every single day. But by the time the next summer rolled around, I'd acclimatized. In fact, I picked up this habit of like, I'm not going in the swimming pool until it breaks 90. Now, I spent a good amount of my time in San Diego, and for the work I do for Rockin' a 5.3, San Diego's rock station, and the weather in San Diego never really drops below 65, doesn't tend to get above 85. And when the thermometer goes above or below those two markers, holy freaking gosh, do the people in San Diego lose their ever-loving minds. They want to mutiny. See, when I first started working for this station in San Diego, I got my first San Diego paycheck, and I looked at it, I was like, well, gosh, golly, and gee whiz, it feels like I work a lot harder than this. What is the meaning of this? And I remember my boss telling me like, oh, that's sunshine tax. That's the tax that you pay to live in a place that is so beautiful 365 days of the year. It's absolute perfection here, and that's why you pay that. That's sunshine tax. I was like, really? Sunshine tax? Because I got to tell you, I am one of the last great true indoorsmen. I have no interest in the sunshine. I like to stay in at all times. If I agree not to go outdoors into the sunshine, do I get some sort of tax break? And they're like, no, it doesn't really work that way. And you know what boggles my mind? Like, I've come to appreciate it, but when I was in San Diego in the past, I would have a hard time understanding how people in San Diego were so enthralled with the weather always. Like, you talk to someone that's in their 50s and had lived in San Diego their entire life, and how you doing? It's another beautiful day in San Diego. It's like, yeah, it's just like yesterday. It's always like this. It's always like this. How could this possibly be entertaining to you? But people freaking love it. But when it breaks 85, people lose their ever-loving minds. And it's actually been cold. It's been cold and frosty in parts of the world like Texas and California that are not accustomed to the cold and the frost. And I was actually looking forward. I was looking forward to the change of the seasons. I was looking forward to the summertime, as are most of the people in America, until I remembered one thing. I'm not looking forward to summer now. You want to know why? You know what happens in summertime?
What happens in summertime?
It's not the heat. The heat
Humidity?
I can deal with. No, it's not the humidity.
I know what it is.
What's that?
I don't want to spoil. Is it the mosquitoes? It
No.
is. No?
Well, no, it's weddings. Freaking weddings. Like, it's wedding season. Wedding season is right around the corner. God freaking forbid that you have to go to an outdoor wedding, because then you have to deal with the heat, the humidity, and the mosquitoes as well. It's a trifecta of awful. But, like, I've realized that wedding season is right around the corner. I do not look forward to these things. Well, okay, I take that back. I've got some people whose weddings I enjoy going to. Like, if it's somebody that I really love and I'm happy for, then I'm stoked to be there. But
really,
yeah, like, for my sister's wedding, it was fantastic. I'll never trade the experience of being there for anything. It was absolutely beautiful. But like, I went to 2 weddings last year, and one of them fell into the family category where I was really stoked to be there. But it was outdoors, it was uncomfortable, and there were mosquitoes.
The trifecta.
But then I went to the summer trifecta of awful. But I went to a coworker's wedding, and I was like, I don't really know that person that well. Like, what do I do? And it was one of those awkward situations where I know that I just got an invite because I was probably on the maybe list. Well, this coworker's coming, and like, he's friends with them, so I guess I have to give him an invite. Yeah, just give him an invite. He probably won't come, but he'll send a gift. And I was just like, oh, do I look like a jerk if I don't go to their wedding? I don't really know this person that well, but... And not only that, it was a destination wedding too. Had to drive several hours. It wasn't like I had to get on a plane, but I had to drive like, I think 4 hours to get to it. And then I had to, I had to be in the monkey suit the whole time. It was another outdoor wedding, so it was hot and uncomfortable being there in the suit. And I really kind of just figured I would do the right thing and go. And as it turns out, it was a really beautiful wedding, and I wound up feeling really good about having gone. I thought, like, this is great. This is 2 people starting off their life together in the right way. They love each other. This is what marriage should be all about. I'm glad that I went to this wedding. This is good times. This was a good move to attend. And then they get back from their honeymoon, and I'm all like, oh, it was so good to see you. This is fantastic. Well, your wedding was beautiful. And I did, kind of looking forward to getting to know him a little bit better. Like I said, it was weird to get an invite from him because I didn't know him that well in the first place. Month and a half after the honeymoon, she quits. Go somewhere else. I will never see this person again. I will probably never speak to this person again. All I know is that I spent a weekend of my life and several $100s going to a wedding of a person whose husband's name I can no longer remember, which is why I dread the wedding season.
Sometimes you just know you're done. You're longing for that shining sun. You walk these streets most every day. You're waiting to get washed away. Radio. Radio. 104.1.
Now, more AD on the radio.
So a little later on in the show, we'll talk about the fact that not only is Donald Trump's health a subject of great scrutiny, and not only is his recent physical being called into question, but Donald Trump affects all things. One thing that you cannot get around, you might love him, you might loathe him, but one thing you cannot get around is his ability to affect the socio-political economic zeitgeist, not just here in America, but all over the world. He says something, markets react, people react. All these things happen, and all these changes are made based on a tweet. He has tremendous influence over the world, and the world of adult entertainment is not free of that. In fact, Donald Trump recently influenced porn searches and the type of porn people were watching to great degree, and we'll discuss exactly why and how a little later on in the show. But right now, let's get back to weddings. Travis, go lightly. You don't like to do weddings, do you?
I hate them. There's two things in life that no matter... I mean, you're one of my best friends in the world, which is, it's a weird thing because we haven't known each other that long. We don't see each other
What are you
that
talking
often.
about? We don't see each other that often. We've known each other for 13, 14 years now.
We have. But a lot of, I don't see you more than I see you. And don't get me wrong, I don't prefer it that way. And
right.
I have very few, I have a very small circle of friends. Like right now, there's one. Okay, so I'm like,
that's me.
It's you. Well, there's two. I'm sorry. I have a local, okay, and then I have you. So
right.
It's just that I'm so busy, man. And it's one of those things. It's not that I can't make friends. It's just that I've got so much going on, and I just don't have time.
No,
but
I understand.
No matter when it comes to weddings and funerals, it doesn't matter who you are. I'm not doing it. I just hate them so much.
No kidding.
I sat down with my parents and explained to them, I was like, listen, I would like your permission, I'd like your blessing that when you die, I'm not going to your funeral. I'm like, I hate them. I get nothing from them, and I get it. It's not for me. It's for other people. I said, but do you care if I go to your funeral? And both of them were like, no, I'm going to be dead. You do what you want. I said, seriously, are you going to be offended? If maybe you're not really dead and you're watching the whole thing, are you going to be mad because I'm not there? And they're like, no, seriously, you don't have to go to our funeral. I'm like, okay, cool, because I hate both of them. I'm not doing it. So yeah, weddings and funerals. I'm sorry. No offense to you, and it's not that I didn't, to anybody. It's not that I don't like you, but I'm not doing it. I hate them.
That's okay. I'll understand. Based on my lousy wedding experience this past year just gone by, the whole reason why I'm not looking forward to wedding season was because I went against my instincts and got snookered into going into a coworker's wedding this past summer just gone by.
You got scammed.
Yeah, and it was I did, it was several $100s. It was standing around in an uncomfortable suit. It was people I didn't know that well, but I've kind of felt like I was on the maybe list, and they invited me thinking they were obligated to invite me, really hoping that I wouldn't attend. And I just send a gift. But I was like, you know what? I should make an effort to be closer with my coworkers. I should go. And I went. And in case you missed it when we were talking about earlier, about a month and a half after the honeymoon, she quits. I will never see her again. In fact, I don't even remember her name anymore. I was just thinking about it. I had no idea what her name is. Certainly don't know her last name. Couldn't tell you what her husband looks like. I wouldn't know him if I ran over him in the street. And that was like a weekend out of my life and several $100s. And for that reason, I sort of dread wedding season. And now I've gone back to my original tactic of, if I know someone in the office is getting married, I will avoid social interaction with them, hoping that they don't feel close enough to me to invite me to the wedding. When they get back from their honeymoon, I'll be all about, oh, let me see the pictures. That's fantastic. Oh, you swam with dolphins? Oh, you played with a turtle. That's beautiful. Oh, wow. Magical. What was the food like? No, tell me. Like, I will be their friend afterwards, but I will do anything I can. I think I'm revealing a slightly more...
You're the nicest guy ever.
I won't even fall
for that.
I might be revealing a slightly more sociopathic side of my personality, but I will actively avoid social interaction with people when I find out that they're engaged because I don't want to get invited to the wedding, especially if they're a coworker. Here's Beth Stelling describing another reason why weddings are suspect and why we shouldn't be looking forward to wedding season.
My middle sister Hannah was about to get married, and I wanted to lose weight for the wedding, and then it just got down to crunch time, and I got a spray tan instead. She had asked me to be the maid of honor, and I said, "Whoa, that's a lot of time and money." And she said, "Beth, this is like a once-in-a-lifetime thing." And I said, "Statistics disagree." So I ended up bringing that sister on tour with me many years later. My sister Hannah came on tour with me this past year just to give her a break from being a single mom. And to be fair, I called her a single mom even when she was married because her husband was a child. And I can give you an example of that. When she was delivering their second baby in the delivery room, out loud from his mouth, he said, "Can't believe I'm missing my softball game for this." And then I got to thinking, and I said, that was a pretty good excuse. It was like a pretty manly excuse. Like, I can't be at this birth because of sports. But then he let it slip that it was softball, I feel like the only thing more feminine than giving birth is men in their 30s throwing underhand,
So yeah, wedding season. Avoid it at all costs. I do love cake, though. I got to admit, I love cake. Cake can make up for a multitude of sins. If you refuse to go to weddings, Travis, let me ask you this. If you refuse to go to weddings, do you say to people, I don't go to weddings, and they go, cool, well, we're going to send you an invite anyway, just decline it, expecting the gift? Like, that's the other thing about weddings. They become so transactional. Like, there's a registry, which I get. You want to get people stuff that they need, and I understand that, and I support that. But, like, oftentimes, I hear people do wedding math where they work out how much they want to spend based on the venue and how much they think is being spent on the wedding. So, like, whatever it costs to have a person there or two people there at this wedding, it's at a country club. I got to get them something that is, $200 because it's like a $100 person thing, or it's a $200 person thing, or it's a backyard wedding. You can get away with $50. I've heard people have these conversations. It's such a weird, transactional, draconian way to look at the union of two souls. But do you get a gift? Like, if someone's getting married, do you go, I won't go, but I'll get you a gift?
I'll make them tell me specifically. I'm not getting scammed, okay? I'm not going to get played in this whole little game. If you want to tell me exactly what you want me to get you, I'll do it. I'm not going on to some registry, though. But if you're telling, if I'm like, you know what, $20 and I can buy my way out of this wedding, I'll do it. But
$20?
I'm not getting married, bro. How did I get talked into giving money? It's like it's a GoFundMe or something for the wedding.
Have you seen this? And this is an interesting thing, because like the other weird contradiction of weddings is, look, yes, they inconvenience those of us that are going, but also they are a tremendous fiscal burden on the couple that's getting married and their families. And so have you seen this thing where people say, instead of a gift, help crowdfund our wedding or help crowdfund our honeymoon?
No.
This actually exists.
Leave the stimulation to the professionals.
Everyone is so smart.
KPRC, more stimulating talk radio.
There's something happening. happening here, and you should know what it is. The Dumbing Up of America. Now, more AD on the radio.
So Donald Trump, president of these United States of America, has an ability to affect change literally all over the world with an expression of his opinion. An aside at a speech, a tweet here or there can affect markets, can affect the destiny of entire industries, can affect so many things. And you know what is not exempt from Donald Trump's ability to affect them? The world of adult cinema. The world of adult cinema. Donald Trump has apparently had a tremendous impact on what kind of adult entertainment people are watching. And we'll get into exactly how and why a little later on in the show. Right now, though, Travis, go lightly. Let us take a look at the news. What is going on in the world?
Steve Harvey turned 61 this week.
Steve Harvey turns... Oh, wow. There you go. But if you wish him a happy 60th, I'm sure he's going to forgive you. I mean, he'd be a hypocrite not to, right? Happy birthday, Steve Harvey. That's one of those guys. Honestly, Steve Harvey is kind of like Donald Trump to me. Like, I've said it before, hashtag not a fan when it comes to Donald Trump. I'm open to the possibility of good things happening because of a Donald Trump presidency. Don't like him, don't like the way he goes through the world. And, let's not get the two twisted, though. I want him to succeed and therefore have America be successful in the same breath. But Donald Trump does really impress me in one way, in that he seems to have an absolutely incredible amount of energy. I am barely able to crowbar my ass out of bed every single morning, and I've got less pressure and less responsibility than that guy, and he's got many, many years on me. So where he gets it from, I don't know. But Steve Harvey falls into that same category, too. Like, you know, in Houston, where the studios in Houston where we both work, Travis?
Yeah.
So, you know, Steve Harvey's got like a bazillion television shows that he do, but he also that he does, but he also continues to do morning radio. He gets up super early to do radio, and in fact, some of Steve Harvey's hosts worked out of our building for a little while because I would go into one of the studios to use them, and I was like, oh, the Steve Harvey show was in here before. And Steve isn't there, but like I think there were producers or co-hosts or something. Some part of the Steve Harvey show is headquartered in Houston, and they would sort of ISDN into the show. I think maybe I'm pulling back the curtains a little bit too much and destroying some of the radio magic telling you this. But my point is, I was like, Steve Harvey does morning radio on top of all this. That guy has a phenomenal amount of energy. Where he gets it from is absolutely 100% beyond me. Because, like I said, I can barely bring myself to put one foot in front of the other when I roll out of bed at the crack of 9 a.m. Like, it's just ridiculous where some of these people get this from.
Once you get Steve Harvey big, I can only assume that everyone else writes everything for you. Everybody else does all the work for you. And you literally just walk in and they're like, here, read this. And then it's over. But maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm very wrong.
But you still got to show up to read it. And that happens early in the morning. Like, you still have to be up and running. Like, it's just, you know, I mean, look, there is a part of radio that is without a shadow of a doubt mentally exhausting. You know, the side of you gotta know what the hell it is you're gonna say before you open up the mic. Some people can just open up the mic, hope for the best, and have something good come out. But like the vast majority of folks like Steve Harvey that do that kind of show, that show is extraordinarily regimented. It's not about Steve's musings. You know, it's not about. But then he's one of those guys that literally doesn't stop, because you see all those videos on YouTube of Steve talking to his audience, doing his little motivational speaker bit between breaks of whatever his show is, whichever one of the millions of television shows that he's on, whether it's Family Feud or whatever the hell it is. He doesn't take a break. He doesn't take 5. He doesn't have a little sit down between segments when the show's in commercials. No. He'll speak to the audience, and he'll either do stand-up or he'll give them like one of his sort of, like I said, borderline motivational speeches. It's unbelievable the amount of energy that guy has. I'd like to get some of what he's got if that's him at age 61. And if he forgets things occasionally, like, you know, who won a massive competition that he was hosting, so be it. What else?
Kim Kardashian and Kanye West announced that their baby girl was born via a surrogate on January 15th.
Surrogacy is a weird idea. I had a friend in Houston, and it's not a weird idea. It's a beautiful idea for people that are unable to have a child in other ways. This is, or people who would maybe have a high-risk high-risk pregnancy.
Is that what you think of the Trump presidency? It's a high-risk presidency?
He just looks like he's carrying a food baby.
Oh my God.
Anyways.
Food baby.
Anywho, it's a little unusual. I knew this guy once whose wife was a surrogate. Like, she
Really?
did that. Yeah, and he was like, I remember at the time I was with this girl, and we were serious, and he's like, hey, when it's time to have a kid, my wife could carry it for you. Like, this was uninvited. Now, I think there was a financial aspect to this, but I was like, it's very unusual that you are pimping out your wife's womb to me right now. Like, it was odd. And his wife, I seem to remember, was kind of smoking hot. I was like, there's only one way that woman is carrying my baby, and that's the fun way. And let's be real here. That's never going to happen. So take that really uncomfortable conversation and put it over there. It was very strange. I've never, ever... I got to imagine there's some sort of fiscal gain to it. And she'd done it a bunch of times. I think she'd been a surrogate like 3 times or something like that. And
is there a lifetime on that kind of career path?
Is there a cap on
it?
it?
Good for 5 babies and then you have to retire? I don't know how that works.
I don't know. I really don't know. But if you're going to pay somebody like tens of thousands of dollars to carry your child, then you have every right to make them jump through every physical testing hoop that you want to make them jump through. So I would imagine that there is, even if there's not a cutoff point, like an age range for it, which I'm guessing there probably is, but even if there wasn't, there's probably all sorts of tests that you have to pass, and probably a limited window of time where the human body can do that. But yeah, Kim Kardashian and Kanye West announced that their baby girl was born via surrogate on January 15th. So a big congrats to Kim and Kanye's nannies. No word on the name. Don't know if they've had a chance to look at the big book of ridiculous celebrity baby names, but there you go. Go on.
A Game of Thrones themed hotel opened recently in Finland.
You can stay in the Peter Dinklage suite if you're planning on a short stay. Go on.
The president's doctor says he has incredibly good genes.
Right. He just can't fit into them.
Oh my God.
Oh, incredibly good genes. Stable genius with incredibly good genes. Why are we not surprised? Go on.
The Senate is close to a majority that it would need to overturn the FCC's rule on net neutrality.
Yeah, I saw this. Hey, it's only fair. Not all of us can just make a phone call when we want to see Stormy Daniels naked, so there's that.
Fox News is going to be airing a 7-part series on Bill Clinton's impeachment.
Oh, that's timely and topical. A 7-part series on Bill Clinton's impeachment in the year 2018.
Yeah.
It'll be called Russian Collusion. What Russian Collusion? Hey, everybody, look over here. Remember what Bill Clinton did with a cigar that time? A 7-part miniseries. Go on.
Kim Jong-un's wife made a rare public appearance this week.
Oh, yeah. What'd she look like? I didn't see.
I didn't see either.
I think it was just to promote her new show, Real Housewives of Pyongyang.
Kim Kardashian and Kanye West are reportedly battling over what to name their daughter.
Right. Yeah. No name for the kid yet. She, I think, wants something affected and insufferable, while he prefers something pretentious and stupid. So they're at an impasse.
Kim Kardashian and Kanye West say they will not sell pictures of their new baby because it is immoral.
Oh, now you grow a conscience. Yeah. Immoral to sell pictures of the baby. Totally different ball game if you're selling pictures of the baby's conception. In that case, we're A-okay with that. Let's put that on the interwebs. Go on.
Ann Curry says her exit from Today's Show hurt like hell.
Yeah, right. Probably because Matt Lauer wouldn't let go of her ass. Okay. Let's talk for a second. Let's talk for a second. Let's finish up the news, and let's talk for a moment, if we may, about how Donald Trump affects all things. What were you telling me earlier, Travis Golightly, about porn searches?
So Pornhub offers something called Pornhub Insights. It's their data analytics blog of Pornhub. And they said that it shows that worldwide users' online searches for Stormy Daniels peaked at 375% above the 2-week average on January 14th, 2 days before the Wall Street Journal reported that Trump had paid $130,000 ahead of the 2016 election to keep quiet about the alleged sexual encounter he had with her.
Yeah. I will have to admit, I was one of those people that went on my favorite adult website and searched for Stormy Daniels related material, just because like I'd seen pictures of her, but I was like, I don't believe I'm familiar with her work. And I wasn't, like, I didn't recognize her. I didn't know her. Ironically, I think the piece of cinema that I watched featuring Stormy Daniels, who allegedly got busy with former real estate mogul turned president of the United States of America, I believe the piece of adult cinema that I watched was called MILF Realtors. So there's that.
No.
Yeah, that's a thing. That's a whole category. I don't.
That's a whole category.
Well, I think that was the name of the thing, but yeah. She was in a movie called MILF Realtors, and then I saw other. Did you research other things as well? I did notice that there was an entire category based on like realtors that got busy with their clients in the houses. Like that seems to be a premise that's very popular in the adult cinema world. So maybe Donald Trump was looking through some of that, like, I'm a real estate mogul. This is a sort of thing that might happen to me. This plays directly into my fantasies. Who's she? Get me the girl from MILF Realtors. Stat. I'm the Donald. But yeah, like I said, Donald Trump has the ability to affect all things up to and including the type of adult cinema that the entirety of the world is watching. Did you, you totally looked up Stormy Daniels?
I did, but not the same way you did. I didn't look her up on Pornhub. I went to Google Images because I'm like, who is she? I've never heard of her. And I looked at her on Google Images, and she was clothed. She was clothed on Google Images, but
you're searching for the wrong stuff. I've found that you got to add the word nude or boobs to a name to get the good stuff. Like I don't have Google Safe Search on my computer. There's no kid that might accidentally wander into my office, and so I think Google probably does this because for a long time you could. Because of the way adult cinema works and because of the way they try and sort of, I guess, hijack browsers into, you could Google literally anything. Like you could Google stove and do a Google image search for stove. And there was a time where it would be people doing it on top of a stove. And you're like, I don't need to see that.
God.
So I think now you have to specify, nude, boobs, in the act of coitus within that Google search when you want to see Stormy Daniels, if you want to check out the cash and prizes that our president reportedly checked out. Last week, the Wall Street Journal reported that President Trump paid porn star Stormy Daniels $130,000 back in 2016 to keep quiet about the affair they'd had a decade earlier. Stormy denied that report, but today, or I think it was yesterday, I don't know, this week in Touch Weekly, they published an interview they allegedly did with Stormy back in 2011, long before the supposed payoff occurred. And here's what they say she told him. She met Trump at a celebrity golf tournament in Lake Tahoe, Nevada in 2006. He asked her to dinner. She said yes, but they ended up in Trump's hotel room and had what Stormy called textbook generic sex. She said nothing crazy. It was one position. What do you expect someone his age to do? This was 4 months after Donald's wife Melania gave birth to their son Barron. Trump also asked Stormy to sign her flick 3 Wishes for him and talked about getting her on The Apprentice. Trump continued to call Stormy regularly, and they met up several more times, allegedly. and apparently he called her Honey Bunch. So now you know.